This winter, thousands of Canadians will make their annual pilgrimage south to Cuba. And when they return, they'll be asking themselves an important question. How many of the 40 bottles of rum in my suitcase should I declare at customs? They'll also be asking themselves, what will life be like in Cuba after Fidel Castro? Now, the U.S. was never sympathetic to Fidel. In fact, when he got sick this year, Americans got all optimistic. In 1961, America reacted to Castro's efforts to raise the living standards of Cuba's impoverished lower classes by slapping on a trade embargo that's lasted more than 45 years. The last thing the U.S. imported from Cuba? Ricky Ricardo. And the last thing Cuba imported from America? A 1961 Buick Roadmaster. Unlike a Buick built 10 years ago, it's still running. Americans have a slew of reasons for justifying their trade embargo. Cuba is run by a communist dictatorship, which of course bears no resemblance to the communist dictatorship in China, that every year does $200 billion worth of trade with the U.S. Cuba is a civil rights violating, family-run oligarchy, which of course bears no resemblance to, oops, wrong picture, to Saudi Arabia, America's third largest oil supplier. During the Cuban Revolution, Cuba seized the assets of Americans and never returned them, which of course bears no resemblance to the American Revolution, when the U.S. seized millions of dollars belonging to United Empire loyalists exiled to Canada and never returned them. Sure, 45 years in office is way too long for one leader. On the other hand, George Jr. has been in office 6 years, and that seems way too long to me. But the U.S.-Cuba relationship may be about to change for a reason other than Fidel. Oil. A veritable Hibernian South has been discovered offshore Havana. And suddenly, Condoleezza Rice, in an unprecedented televised address directly to Cubans, hopes Cubans have poor memories.
All of you must know that you have no greater friend than the United States of America.
Condoleezza is a former board member of oil giant Chevron. Now, when she suddenly wants to be your best friend forever, it's a safe bet Dick Cheney wants to pump your oil into his Hummer. Is it ironic that oil might bring Cuba and America together? No more ironic than the major ingredient of a Cuba Libre is Coca-Cola. Castro is on record wondering how history will judge his attempt to turn Cuba into a workers' paradise. My guess is history will judge it about the same way it'll judge the effectiveness of America's attempt to crush Cuba with a 45-year trade embargo. Close, but no cigar.